Hey guys, so we are on my back porch today, and I have spent the last couple of weeks just creating this great space for my littlest guy. Some of you may have seen several weeks ago I shared about little Jed, and he was diagnosed with severe autism at the end of last year. So my family and I have spent the last several months just kind of learning about this whole disability, figuring out ways that we can just help Jed grow and give him the best opportunities possible. And so one of the things that guy loves is outside. He loves to be outside. And where I'm at, we don't really have a really safe spot dedicated for that. So that is what I've been doing. And he loves to pace. So he runs back and forth all the time. So that's exactly what he does. He walks out this door, and now it's inside this fence, and it's safe, and it's awesome. And it's only missing one thing, and that's a spot for me. So I'm gonna be out here as much as him. So I thought it would be really cool to build myself a new porch swing to be able to sit down, prop my legs up, and watch my boy run. So let's get to work. First step I'm doing to build the swing is making my cuts. Now I've already decided I'm going to attempt to build this entire thing with 2x6s because I have a big pile of them, and I know I can rip them down to be dimensional boards in the width that I need them, which actually allows me to kind of design the swing a little bit different anyway, rather than going by lumber that you can just pick up at the store. So I am first cutting the slats. Now I kind of have like a vision of what I want it to look like, but for size and sketching, I'm going kind of off of the plans that I drew for my last swing that I built. So bear with me as we design this. The first thing we're doing though is we're gonna be cutting the slats that will be where your booty goes. So each of these is gonna be 4.5 inches wide, but it's also gonna be 47 inches long. I'm gonna go ahead and make those 47-inch cuts before I run it through the table saw because it makes that part so much easier. Let's get going. I've got those cuts for the bottom of the swing done, and now I'm going to take them through my table saw to rip them down to 4.5 inches. We have a video on this. I will add it in the description box below, but I will quickly show you how easy it is as well. At this point, I've got my 4 boards cut. That will be the base of the swing. Before making any other cuts, I'm gonna go ahead and get these attached, and we're gonna be using our trusty Craig jig for this part. I've got my K5 ready to go. Y'all can see I've got mine mounted to a board. I just prefer that over being mounted to a workbench because when you have longer boards and stuff, it just makes it easier to be able to pull it on the ground. I have the side set at 1.5 inches, and I've also got the depth here ready to go, so when I close it down, it'll fit properly. And I've also used this little handy guide to figure out what length my drill bit needs to be set at, the stop collar. So I'm ready to go. I'm gonna be adding 1.5 inch pocket holes down one side of 3 of these boards, and also in the end of each board. Pocket holes are done for these bottom slats. You can see 3 of the 4 boards have the 1.5 inch pocket holes down one side, but then I've also added 2 to each end of all the boards because those are going to be attaching to a different board here in just a bit. Now I'm also using 2.5 inch Craig blue coat screws. So why are they blue? Because they are coated with something special that makes them better for outdoor projects to keep them lasting longer. Now we're ready for the 2.25 inch pieces. So I've already cut off the rounded edge of this 2x6 right here. And now I'm gonna set my fence to 2.25 inches and run this piece through 2 times to get 2 pieces that are both 2.5 inches wide. Just like the ones before, I've already made the cuts down to the length they need to be. So now I'm just making them the width that they need to be. Woo! Woo! Guys, that this piece and all the other ones I just cut are all 2.25 inches thick. Now they're ready to build a swing. First 2¼ inch piece I'm attaching are these on each side of these bench slats. So I am going to be attaching them through the planks and into that side. I'm going to use wood glue and 2½ inch blue coat screws, just like the others. All right. Okay. At this point, we have the base built, so I've got that set to the side, and I'm gonna start building my back. So it's gonna be easier to build the back and then attach the entire thing to the base. So for this, we are also using that 2x6 like we talked about. I have already cut the long pieces that are gonna go up. Actually, they're the short pieces, but they're gonna go up. And now I'm cutting my longer pieces. I want these to be cut at 3 inches wide each. My neighbors are walking by and looking at me oddly. All right. Not saying all right. I quit. Pause for dogs. Here are those longer 3-inch boards. I just cut those with table saw down to 3 inches, and I've put them in my Craig jig. I'm gonna add 2 1½ inch pocket holes on each end of both of these boards. So these are the 47-inch boards, 3 inches wide, adding those pocket holes to each side. And don't forget, you want to add your pocket holes to face the back. So pick your uglier side of the two, and that's where you want your pocket holes. Here is the back of the back. And so you want your uglier side facing you. These are my pocket holes going into my side pieces. So we've got our 3-inch piece, our 2¼ inch wide piece. I'm adding wood glue to this corner, and I'm going to attach it using the 2½ inch pocket hole screws. Now, we are basically going to make a rectangle here. Here we go. Are you ready for this rectangle? I wish Ashley was here to shanty clamp me. Nothing like Ashley to be your shanty clamp. The next part's going to be making the X's for the back. So I've already used my table saw, just like we did these pieces right here, to cut down 2x2s, which is 1½ inches by 1½ inches. So I've made several of those. I set those to the side, and now I'm gonna mark out how I'm gonna make these X's. I took 47, I divided it by 3, and I came roughly, I think it's roughly, it's close enough, to 15 5/8. So what I've done, or what I'm going to do, is go on this board, on both boards, top and bottom, and I'm making a mark at 15 5/8. I'm also doing the same from this side. And I've already done my top board, 15 5/8 and 15 5/8. What I'm gonna do now is I'm actually gonna lay my boards down and mark them to cut them. To me, it is the easiest, foolproof way to get the right cuts. The back of the bench is gonna have 3 X's, and I want my long boards that aren't gonna be split in half to all be going the same direction. So hopefully that makes some form of sense. So what I'm doing is I'm laying this here to where it's gonna be in the corner, and then I'm going also to where I marked that 15 5/8. And I'm gonna use my pencil to mark. You can kind of reach under there. Mechanical pencils are awesome for this. To mark exactly where you want this guy cut. So when I flip it over, I can see, hopefully you can see, that I've marked this cut right here, and I've also marked this cut here. So I'm gonna go take that over the table saw, because we're gonna dry fit everything before we start putting it together. I brought it over here, and I've lined it up, and it's actually 45 degrees. Shocking. Never works out that well for me. And I'm going to use my miter saw now to make those cuts. I'll do a lefty cut. Get a little fancy with you guys. No, I'm not, because it's not plugged in. I'm not being fancy. I've got my first 2 in place, and now I'm just gonna mark and measure for the third, doing the exact same thing, just going off of different marks. Okay, marking this side, and this side, and this side. So you can see I've got my first 3 sides done, 1, 2, 3, and now I'm gonna come back with that same 2x2, and I'm gonna measure for the other X's. These will be split in half, so you're gonna have to do 6 different pieces rather than just 3. Ooh, spider, ew, shoot! Ah! I hate spiders. Die, go away. Go away. Good golly. Spider from you know where. HE double hockey sticks. So, he's dead. Okay, and I've got 2 X's done, 1 to go. X marks the spot. I've got all the X's done, and now I'm gonna go back and put 1½ inch pocket holes on those 6 smaller boards going into the longer ones. I put the smaller pieces, you can see I've put it into the Craig jig with the pointy side facing up, and I'm just gonna make 1.5 inch pocket hole on the back of each of these smaller pieces. You can see it all done. There you go. Now I'm gonna build my X's before I actually attach them to the swing itself. So I am adding wood glue to the 90-degree angles and getting it as close to straightened up as possible. It's not gonna be perfect because my measurements aren't perfect, but that is okay, guys, because it's still gonna be a dang cute swing. All right, so I've got my first X done. I'm gonna finish the next two and we'll get them attached. Now we are attaching these X's, and there's several ways to do that. You can definitely go in from the bottom and into the X if you have long enough screws. I do not, and do not wish to go to the hardware store. So I am actually adding wood glue, and I'm using 2-inch exterior deck screws. So any size will do. I want to be able to go into it, into the X where you won't see it. Now we're able to attach the top to the bottom. So what I've done is I've added a line of wood glue down the top of the base, and I've attached the back to it. You can see it forms a 90-degree angle, and we're gonna go and attach them. I'm using my Jorgensen clamps, and I'm going to be attaching it through the base and into the back using 3-inch deck screws. At this point, we have our bench put together, and so we are ready for the armrests. So we have a 12.5 inch piece, that's that piece right there, and we have an 8.5 inch piece also, 2 of each. And we're gonna add pocket holes to one side of both of them. So each board, each of these 4 boards will each have 2 pocket holes on one side. So that's my 12.5 inch board. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other. Okay, and same thing with the 8.5 inch board. Just 2 on one side. That one. Before we attach these to the swing itself, these are my 12.5 inch pieces, and I'm attaching the smaller piece. I've drawn a 1/2 inch line from the edge, and I'm going to attach it just like this using 2.5 inch pocket hole screws and wood glue. So you will have an overhang on that one side. To attach the armrest, I added pocket hole screws into the back. You can see through those pocket holes right there is where those were. And then on the base of the swing, I also came in with those 3-inch deck screws and went up through the base and into that arm. Now we've got one down, and we'll go do the other. All right, y'all, I've got the entire swing put together. Now I'm gonna get some stain on it after I sand it and get the hardware attached. I can't wait to show you how this looks on the new back space. I think I will love it, and I think the kids are gonna love it too. So I love how it turned out. I love how inexpensive it was to build. It's also pretty simple, and now I have the perfect spot to sit and watch my little guy run around like crazy. Y'all stay tuned, be sure to subscribe. You don't want to miss another video. Say bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bear with me. Okay, here we go. Let me think for just a second. Let me compose my thoughts. Okay. So the first thing I'm doing when I'm building this, I'm not gonna say so, and I'm also not gonna say all right. So how do I talk? Okay. All right, so, no, forget I said all right. Pocket holes facing you. Now, it just spit on the ground. Wow. So simple. Okay. All right, now. So I'm not gonna say all right. No, I can't talk.
It's like,
okay.
wait.